by Henry James afterwards. I first read it during that blog. Hi, good morning. Yeah. Ay, amor de mi vida. Que mi amor. But I wanted to talk about the books that I'm reading at the moment. So currently I am reading The Tenet of Wildfell Hall, and if you guys don't know what this book is, this is Anne Bronte, the third Bronte sisters novel. Honestly, I'm not sure if she has any other books out there. I just know that this is her most well-known book because obviously her other sisters low-key overshadow her. But I am finally reading the third sister, the third Bronte. I am currently 46 pages in on chapter 7, about to start chapter 7, and I am very much already really liking it. I don't do a lot of spoilers here. I just talk about certain things and my vibes as I'm reading it. But The Tenet of Wildfell Hall is about a woman who seems to have escaped her alcoholic, abusive husband, and she is now the mysterious tenant of Wildfell Hall, and she eventually falls in love with our main character, Gilbert Markham. Within these 7 chapters, we've discovered that she's a widow, and at first, when he first encountered her, Gilbert wasn't really that into her, even though he did think he was pretty. But now his feelings have, like, you could tell his feelings are slowly transforming into something else, and I love to see that. I wouldn't call this, like, enemies to lovers or anything like that. If anything, more like indifference to lovers, indifference to friends to lovers. Slow burn, if you will, and I really like that. It is slowly becoming a slow burn. And one thing that has been a constant conversation is the idea of vices and temperance, because obviously from the synopsis we know that she runs away from her alcoholic husband, but at the moment she is just a widowed mother who doesn't allow her kid to drink alcohol, and she is also low-key trying her best to make sure that he never drinks alcohol, and she's getting very much judged by that. She's being accused as like extremely coddling her son, but we actually just met a character whose father passed away at an early age because of alcohol, so we just got that new perspective. And I'm actually really enjoying this conversation. I didn't actually realize that this would be a conversation so early, I guess, because obviously there were always issues in alcohol, but it's just not something that I really think about. And as someone who was sober for a whole year, doesn't really drink that much, and absolutely hates it when people try to force a drink into my hand, this is actually a very refreshing point of view, and I'm very much loving the conversations that are going around moderation and drinking and everything like that. So I just wanted to talk about my progress about this book. I'm very much loving it. As I mentioned in other videos, June is the month of classic, and this is the first one, and we are starting off with a bang. I'm very much enjoying it. I can't wait to see where it's going, for sure. finished it. Oh my god. 10 out of 10, man. This was so good. This was so good. I loved it so much. Jane Eyre definitely deserves a reread. Wuthering Heights definitely deserves a reread because this just might be my favorite out of the three, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god, this was so good! This was so good. That's all I could say. This. Anyways. Oh my god. Morning. So, I figured I could give like a proper ending or a proper final thoughts on The Tenet of Wildfell by Anne Bronte. I already put it up on my shelf, so it's pretty high, so I don't want to go get it. But I forgot what I said last time, but essentially the stories towards the last third of the novel goes back into Gilbert's point of view because the letters are done, or her diary is finished, sorry, and her diary ends upon meeting Gilbert. So, like I said, it was really bittersweet and it felt like a thriller horror story type situation because we know where she ends up, but getting there was just so heartbreaking. I guess I misread the back. There was no physical abuse, but it was very still emotional and heartbreaking to have to witness our character, our heroine, deal with a scumbag like that, a scoundrel, if you will. And yeah, and then towards the ending, there were a lot of moments where I was like exclaiming out loud, and there were some fake outs and everything like that, and everything ended in a happy ending. Honestly, everything was tied up very nicely, very nicely. A little too convenient in my opinion, but still, no, like very great. Because this whole book was in the perspective of Gilbert in the future, we got to see the endings, or like where they are now situations to all of our characters in the novel, and that was also very nice to see, especially with the characters that I hated. I feel like they got the endings they deserved. And yeah, as for, again, I'm not much of a spoiler person. So anyways, as for her writing style, I very much enjoyed her writing style. I thought it was so easy to read, and just I was hooked from the very beginning. I would say I think the toughest writing style would probably be Emily Bronte's. Oh, again, it could just be Joseph's character in general, but I did remember struggling a little bit more with Wuthering Heights even when I reread it a couple of years ago. That's why I think it deserves another reread, just because I read it the first time, I was still very like burnt out from school readings and everything like that. And I think one of the main reasons why I was able to like really be in this novel was because I've already passed that burnout. I've overcame the burnout, and I am reading very diligently. So like that muscle has been trained more, I guess, if that makes sense, because of how far I'm into my PhD program. All reading, right? Anyways, it was very easy to read. It was very easy to understand. I enjoyed it so much. I didn't expect to like it this much, honestly, so I'm kind of just like blown away by the story and how it unfolded and everything like that. And yeah, so I highly recommend it. I really do. It was really good. If you are into classics and everything like that, do not let Anne Bronte's novels pass you by whatsoever. You gotta read all the Bronte sisters. So yeah, those are my final thoughts, I guess.
Well together for some reason.
No, we definitely do. I feel like me and you got chemistry. Like the make out was awesome.
Yeah, that's just the beginning.
Yeah, no, definitely. We definitely worked as really good couples.
Okay, so I decided that I want to make like a TBR jar situation for Summerween, for all the horror, thriller, mystery books that I want to read for the summer, specifically because I have a lot. And I have decision fatigue a lot, so I don't want to necessarily deal with that. I thought I had enough of these slips that came inside of here, blank slips, but I do not. Yay. I'm going to take a page out of my journal. This should work. Okay, that works. Okay. So, what am I doing? It's still June, and after reading The Tenant at Wildfell Hall, it's really hard for me to read another book just because that book was just so good. But I am having a good time. I ended up picking up the Portrait of a Lady by Henry James afterwards. What I decided to do to like help balance out my brain, I guess, is I'm going to read this in the mornings. I've been having a really nice routine where I don't pick up my phone and I read until I have finished my coffee, or even until I'm ready to have breakfast, and that is when I start my day. So currently I am 51 pages in, so this is really going to be a slow read. This might be the last classic I read in June. And then in the afternoons, I'm going to get a head start on Summerween because I just really want to be in those vibes now. I've been seeing a lot of people on like Instagram and on YouTube getting ready their Summerween TBRs and everything like that. So that's what I'm basically doing right now. And I've actually have already started. It's like almost 3 p.m. right now, and I'm already 50 pages in this. But I decided to pick up The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. And as you can see, this is a reread, but the reason why I wanted to reread this one is because I first read it when I first did my Summerween, when I first did a Summerween video back in 2023, I think it was. I first read it during that vlog, and I loved it. As you can see, it's fully tabbed. It's sitting in my favorite shelf. This was a really good read. So the reason why I'm rereading it, though, is because it's been a while, and I have the sequel, Legion, ready to read shortly after. I've been wanting to read the sequel for a while. I just knew that I really needed to reread this to understand some of the background that's going to be in this book, even though the story is like years afterwards. Specifically, the relationship between certain characters is, I remember it being very important at the end of this novel, and it actually takes center stage, I think, in this novel. The rest of the books, I have them on a pile and in my bookshelf right now. I have about, I think, 14 books that I have. I realized that a lot of them are really short reads, so I think the only horror book that is not on my TBR right now is The Shining by Stephen King. And the reason why I'm not adding that on my list right now is because that is definitely a winter read. And I read Ethan Frome in the summer. I reread Ethan Frome in the summer, and if you know that book, you know that is a winter read. And that was the first time that I experienced, like, the seasonal, like, that was the first time that I realized, oh yeah, you really should just read certain books at a certain time because the atmosphere really helps it a lot. It felt too weird being hot while reading a very snowy, atmospheric book. So that's why I want to read The Shining later. Maybe not even in October, like in December or something like that. But yeah, I think I have about 14 books, and so I'm going to make slips, put them in a jar, and from there, so I won't have picking fatigue, I'm just going to pick from the jar. Although I think I'm going to read Pet Sematary after Legion, but after that, I don't know. Maybe I do have some priorities that I want to read after Legion, but after that I'm not sure. And that is where the jar is going to be coming in handy. Try to make it fun, you know? So I will be working on that right now. Hi, hello. Please excuse my hair. It's hair wash day, so I feel like it looks like a mess, but anyways. It's actually the afternoon because I have been working all day. I'm actually very proud of myself because I finally started researching for my essay project that I want to try to finish by the end of the summer. I just wanted to come on here and just give a quick update because as I mentioned in my last clip, I am reading The Exorcist in tandem with the Portrait of a Lady. Unfortunately, that is a slow read. I knew that was gonna happen, and I didn't want to slow down my reading momentum, and that's why I picked up and giving myself a head start on summer reading, I guess you could say. It's not that I don't like A Portrait of a Lady, it's a slow read. Henry James loves his sentences, so sometimes I have to slow down so I can really comprehend what he is saying. But I am invested, I am interested, the intrigue is there. So yeah, I'm almost halfway through it. Just as good as I remembered. There are certain moments in the novel that I don't have more tabs with me, but I've been annotating with a different color. I first annotated with a pen, right now I'm currently annotating with a pencil. So I do want to go back and add tabs to those because there are just separate moments that are hitting me differently. Again, I really love religious discourse in a novel, and this obviously is chock full of it. And yeah, it is just as scary. Crazy. Don't know how this guy thought about all of this. I kind of want to research him writing this novel just because this movie was the catalyst, or is, the blueprint of the Exorcist genre. So I want to know where he got his influences to make this book/movie, because he is also the writer of the movie. Very, very interesting. And I could honestly say, I don't have kids, but I think one of the scarier aspects of this novel is just Chris McNeil's anxiety and frustration of not knowing, of the unknown. You want science to have all the answers, and if you are familiar with the movie, with the book, she goes through the science side first before she ever turns to the religious side, and just science failing her test after test after test is just so heartbreaking, especially because Kristen McNeil is an atheist in the novel. Right now she hasn't, again, where I am in the novel, she hasn't turned to religion yet, but just it's so heartbreaking and horrific, honestly, just seeing her mental health just drain and being constantly defeated and just constantly not knowing, and that frustration of like, where do I turn to if the people who are supposed to have the answers don't have the answers of what's going on with my daughter? It's crazy. That anxiety must be so frustrating. Again, I don't have any kids, but I feel like I could empathize with that feeling for sure. And yeah, that's just where I am right now. I think we are about to turn more to the religious side. We are also turning more into the murder mystery side because the main character, or the main death, just happened, and the detective is just now introduced for that specific plot line. So yeah, that's The Exorcist so far. As I mentioned, I have been working all morning while I was importing the clips for the vlog that you're about to see, that you are seeing, I'm sorry. I started researching for my project. Wait, I think I was talking about that. Anyways, all I did though was what I call like my preliminary research, light research, where I essentially just go into the databases and with my keywords, my search words, and look up articles that I think might fit. I collect all of that, and then organize all those files, because then the next phase of my research is to actually read those articles. I feel like I find it faster doing that. It really slows me down when I read the article as I'm researching. I'd rather just like gather all the articles, every single article that I could find, and then read them and delete the ones that don't work, and then do another round of that in case I need to. I feel like that just seems easier, in my opinion, when it comes to my research. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but that's just my way of doing things, I guess. So yeah. My food is ready. I'm officially on my lunch break, so I am going to end the vlog here. I am hoping to reach my goal of 500 subscribers by the end of the summer, so I could hopefully reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the fall. So if you like this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.
You know I'm such a fool for you. You caught me wrapped around your finger. Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger?